Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is about 11 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, November 20th. So, uh, before we get into technical analysis as we usually do here, right, let's just check at uh, if there's any catalyst for today. Uh, Going down to, we had the September jobs report, I believe it was, come out, and it came out. A little mixed, right? But in favor of doing more Fed action, right? Average earnings a little bit lower than expected, right? So that means that the employment front's cooling off in that manner. Uh, you've got higher than expected jobs that were created, and the unemployment rate ticked up. So we're going to have uh, later today. Uh, Probably right now, actually. Opening remarks, so that's nothing. We're going to have consumer confidence and existing home sales at 10, natty gas at 10:30, and then we're going to have at 11, we're going to have Cook speak, moderated discussion. So we'll see if anything comes out of that. Then Goolsby's always good to throw something out there into the wood. So you've got him doing something, but probably not too much. So it doesn't really look like there's any major catalyst, as far as I'm concerned, today that's going to override the unemployment news that's already out and NVDA after the bell. So looking at yesterday's action a little bit, uh, fairly, quiet overnight, up and down, but just kind of opened up right in the middle of it. Uh, then we got a pretty good volume node that goes up to 670 basically in the ES, and right around 24 775 in the Nasdaq. And then, looking at, we had that ramp up in the morning, ramp back down, and then just kind of flag sideways waiting on NVIDIA, right? So NVIDIA comes in after the bell, right? As we're basically trading 600, we go up to 605. I think we hit 610, and plus overnight, I think we're trading almost 613 now. So let's get into it. So one thing on my watch is now that we've, kind of, you can see this as kind of a sloppy downtrend channel. I'm not going to get too worried about that. Let's just make it simple. So the point of control from last Friday is 67.85. So that's your bogey to the upside. Uh, that's going to be, not too much higher than where we are, another 14, 15 points. We could potentially even open up above that or not. We'll see. But open up above it. What you want to see is if either of these end up trading today. So 67.58 from Monday and 67.85 from Friday. And I think there's little chance in hell that we trade 66.48 uh, today, right? That we pop and flop down to that. We'll get into the pop and flop scenario in a second, but just kind of, I'm not going to worry too much, like I said, about this downtrend channel. So the 1 day expected move, right, to get over it, what I always say is you need a catalyst or you need the VIX to be confirming some action. So the catalyst was NVIDIA, right? So, this is pretty much produced before the closing bell rings or right around the close. Then NVIDIA comes out and it, one-upped that. So I think there's probably a very small chance for a gap fill, but if we get back into yesterday's range, right, which would be just slightly above the overnight lows, uh, watch just to see if value area high sticks first off. But I think it's a little bit more hands off. I wouldn't get too greedy playing for the downside at this point in time. And then looking at positioning, and the title of my video is Can the Market Stay in Positive Gamma Now? So we've been in negative gamma for a couple weeks, And now that we've kind of crossed up here, we'd be opening right around 67.50 or a little bit above it at this point in time on the cash market after closing at 66.42. So that's over 100 points higher, 110 on the futures right now is what we're looking at. So this could be the floor potentially, or just in and around there today, the 67.50. We might not really get any traction below that level at all. And then looking at the SPY, uh, you can see 670 is a large gamma. We're trading 673.45 right now. So 670 should be your floor at this point for the day. And then, if it's not, that's when you got to reevaluate. But you have to assume that right now that's your floor. That would only be about, from where we're currently trading, that would be about 32 points lower on the ES. So that would put you um, right around 67.42 or so on the futures. And that's what I'm looking at. So to the upside, 675 and 680 are your targets. I would not really push anything above uh, 680, and we'll have to see what the appetite is for 675. So you can see from 675 to 677, there's some a little bit, but not a lot right there as well. And then looking at the Qs, we're above 600, and this is really what puts the market into positive gamma is, just staying up above there. We're unable really to hold below it the whole time, and you can just see that uh, basically a Reader's Digest, and people can get into all kinds of technical and mathematical bullshit. But really, it's just as simple as looking at this graph. And if you're in more of the blue than you are in the red, or in this case, if you're in heavier call volume, an open interest, and you are in heavier put volume, you're in positive gamma. What does positive gamma do? That tends to dampen volatility, right? So the market maker does the opposite of what is going on. So when you know people buy, right, they kind of sell the futures. It kind of dampens volatility. When people sell, they kind of buy, and that dampens volatility again. Keep in mind, though, the one thing that we got to watch is the VIX just rolled yesterday, so there's not a lot on it. So you really still need to watch the VIX and pay attention to it. Uh, and so you could get a little bit more volatility than you would if we were like a week or two into the VIX roll, or a few more days than we are at this point in time. But uh, I would say no more than probably a $2 at a time at this point in time, maybe two and a quarter. So that'd be 80, 90 point swings, but I don't think you're going to get these in every 5 minute bar. The first 35, 40 minutes when we open, right, is a little bit more volatile, especially after this. So one thing that you got to watch is, and I'll be interested in, is everyone who had call positions on, right? They're in the money when they wake up. So if we do start to sell off right after the opening bell, uh, those traders that have the 0 DTE options that are expiring today, they see their profits disappearing, so they can sell and liquidate their positions because they're afraid that they're gonna, either take your overnight lottery ticket gains uh, and lose them, or even go negative, right? So it'll be interesting to see. Watch the pullbacks in the first, 35 minutes to hour and 10 minutes of the session. See how deep they go and see what happens. Uh, Contrary to that is everyone who was just flat out short because they thought the world was going to a hell in a handbasket, right? Uh, they are dead wrong. And with us being this far in positive gamma, it'll be interesting to see how far we get back. So, with all that crap being said, we're currently trading 612 right now. So, I could see us testing 605 potentially today, or 607. That would be around 200 or so points lower than we are. Look, we're currently up 500, so coming back down 200 wouldn't be that big of a stretch. But You've got to take these big gamma levels, 605, 610, 615, and just as you get above 615, you're going to need a lot of help. That means that you really only have at this point in time, since we're trading 612, you have about 120 NQ handles. Higher is probably your limit for the upside without help from getting into a positive feedback loop. And we'll talk about that in a second here. But 614 to 615, so that'd be 80 to 120 handles higher than we're currently trading. So you're looking at basically 310 to probably 350 on the NQs. 25,310 to 350 is where this 614 to 615 is going to end up lining up. And then going down, you're looking about 80 points lower than we're currently trading. So you're looking about 150 is where the 10 is. So I would just assume, just like the SPY, that these large gammas are going to be acting as support early in the day. And then we'll have to see which side of them we're staying on, right? Are we staying just under them when we pull back and not getting back over them, or are we staying above them and going for a late day afternoon sell off? What you need is really not much progress above one of these large gamma areas. A lot of consolidation in a 40 to 80 point range, which would be $1 or $2 here, and then cross back under it. Then you could get an accelerated flush down. But I think you got a lot of inventory to work through first before that's even a possibility. So this is 1 sigma that we're at right now, this 25,116. You can see that this auction uh, has a break point at 25,278 basically, which we've almost traded up to. We got 265 so far in the overnight, so within 12, 13 points of that. Uh, but one thing I'll be watching is, can we hold a Superman pattern, which will be staying between the +1 and the +2. Normally, if that pattern is going to hold, the biggest pullback you're going to get is to the VWAP. Right now, that's if you look at this indicator, this this is where the VWAP is right now for the session, 25,137.5, and this is how many points you are away from it. You're 99 points above the VWAP right now, 100 points above. So that would be your maximum pullback, and this is going to change in real time, right? It's going to keep moving up as long as we're this far above it. But the VWAP should be basically if we're going to stay aggressively bid today, that's going to be your major pullback will just be to the VWAP. And for the most part, you're going to be between the +1 and the +2. So that's about a 45 point pullback right now to get to the +1. Uh, and that's at 25,193 as I'm speaking right now. So I hope this helps. We'll see what Jack's looking at. He's going to be on about 10:30 Eastern time. Uh, and then we will go from there. But I hope this helps. I wouldn't be expecting, too much to the downside under the VWAP. You start spending time under the VWAP, then all hell is going to break loose to the downside. And I did say I would get into a positive feedback loop scenario. So as we look at a positive feedback loop, what that means is, for the most part, when you're in positive gamma, the market makers have to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. So if the people are taking long positions, they have to sell futures, right? But there's a point that it gets to that there's convexity. So they have to, at a break point, and I think it would be above 615 and maintaining above 615. Especially the closer it would get to the closing bell, they're going to have to buy futures, right? When people buy, and they're going to have to sell futures when people sell futures. So you can get into just a positive feedback loop, meaning that they're the only ones moving the market, basically. So when this positive feedback loop happens, they have to buy futures because their hedges are wrong, right? So when they buy the futures, that pushes the market up. which makes their hedges worse. So they have to buy more futures because the market went up. Well, they're the ones moving the market higher, right? And that forces them to buy more futures, all things being equal. That's the positive feedback loop. Of course, there will be traders taking profit as this happens, right? They'll be selling out of their positions, which means at that point in time, the market makers would have to uh, dump some of their futures to offset that part of the risk. So I hope that I'll try to explain more and more about that on as I do these morning sessions. But that's the gist of it. But I don't think it's really unless we're above 615 in the last hour to 45 minutes of the closing bell, and then it's probably going to get very jumpy very fast, and then it can even keep going after the bell. Uh, so that's your positive feedback scenario. But until that, you see that in the VIX, right? And I'll bring up Jack's since he's not starting for a little bit later. That upper mid is 24,990. Uh, I don't know if you can really get back to that today. That's almost the overnight low. That would be a huge flush unless you get it right out of the gate this morning and those overnight profits are just rapidly disappearing. I don't really see that happening until at least late afternoon. So you might even have to, draw a fib between this upper mid and the high and look at sequences that are off of that. And then, watch the VIX over here, right? As long as the VIX is going down, right, the market should be going up. So when the VIX stalls, the market will stall, blah, 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 blah. I'm not telling you anything you didn't know. I'm just reminding you to watch that as well today. And it's the same thing for the VIX. You probably want to draw a sequence between the lower mid and the low. See if it starts hitting any of those fibs. That's probably going to be your retracement levels, especially for the first 2 hours this morning. I hope this helps you guys have a great day. We'll see what Jack's looking at in about 90 minutes. I'll talk to you tomorrow.